What's up, Internet? You're tuned into a very special episode of the FlipScreen Game Podcast, a weekly video game podcast where best buds from different nations come together to discuss the wide world of video games. I'm your host, Pete and Bessie, joined as always by my very good friend and co-host, Mr. Steven Radford.
Hello, hello.
Hello, Steve. Happy Xbox Day. And joining
So
us,
excited.
and joining us from Nintendo Noise to talk about all the crazy news that we got from this their Xbox performances, of course, Mr. Chuy Plays.
Bye, goodbye. Bringing the goodbyes over here.
Yo, I mean, Xbox brought the goodbyes today, right?
I know.
They put everybody in a body bag today, I think. I mean, and we joked about this, right? I said to you, I was like, I'm ready for Xbox to come out on Sunday and eat everybody's fucking lunch, right? It was the week was theirs to take, and they delivered, I think, more than they needed to have made it the best show in the conference, which is exactly where you want to be. So we are going to, of course, talk about all of the news that came out of what I think is safe to say is the best presentation, at least overall presentation on this year's Summer Game Fest here in just a minute. But let me remind you that this week's episode of the FlipScreen Games, or I guess I should say the second episode this week of the FlipScreen Games podcast, is brought to you by our Patreon producers for the month of June. They are Christian Oliveria, Christopher Valenz, Gabriel Hasselmeyer, aka Asobi, Mary Berry, Smokey Shake, Wakahula, and Zaid Ida. Thank you all so much for your support over on patreon.com/FlipScreenGames. Y'all are the realest of the real, and we appreciate your support of this fine program. So, oh, right. And also, again, if you want to get links to all the places we are, flipscreen.games, Discord, we got the Twitch. You know, you can go watch all of our coverage of Summer Games Fest. You can go check out the live reaction of this Xbox presentation, which is already up now by the time you're listening to this. Bunch of other ways you can get involved, all that good stuff. Go check it out. Again, flipscreen.games. That's the website. I can't even remember the plugs, kids, because we got to talk about all these announcements from this freaking amazing show, right? Coming out the gate, we had a look at Redfall. Of course, bummer to have the game delayed earlier, this year, just a couple weeks ago. But the first look that we got at it, since then, I'm thinking it looks really, really hot. How are y'all feeling about this one?
I mean, I didn't even realize that the game was coming out this year. We spoke about it when it was delayed. I was just like, yeah, I knew Starfield was coming out, but I don't feel like we knew anything about Redfall anyway, because we hadn't seen any gameplay. We didn't really know what it was. This was the first glimpse we got to see of it. It looks very much like a Left 4 Dead meets Arcane's.
Yeah, meets Dishonored.
Extra magic sauce,
Mm-hmm. This is Bethesda, right? Are they required to put fall in every title of their games?
Well, it's published by Bethesda. But it's Arcane.
Right,
so, and they've never done it before. This is their first fall game, so.
Yeah, it looks cool. I always like just creepy things, so it's the type of thing I should play a lot more, like kind of horror stuff or just things with like magical, scary elements. So, yeah, it looks cool.
This is my jam, because Steve was asking me, he's like, "Oh, is this too much for you?" Because I'm like notably a scaredy baby when it comes to horror games. But like this is the kind of horror game I can vibe with because it's not really like about.
It's not really horror, is it? It's like on the same level of Left 4 Dead or like a Days Gone. It's like an action game where you're attacking these enemies, and yeah, there might be some jump scares when they come out of the woodworks, because the scene in the attic where we first saw the vampires, and they're like with those weird creepy arms, and they're like coming towards you, and the way they moved and the motion, and then like the brutal killing when you finally get them with the shotgun or whatever, and they sort of disappear into flames. It was really, really cool. Really, really cool. I'm really looking forward to playing this one. It's next year, but what a way to open up the presentation. Started out strong and only got stronger from there.
Yeah, agreed. And we learned some stuff about this that I was happy to hear. Like just seeing more of the gameplay, like you get a better sense for what it feels like, and we learn more about the difference between each of the characters, because it is kind of like a character based game, right? Whereas like one of them's like a mech, one of them has a mech, right? And like does like tinkering.
Yeah, it's got like the Boston Dynamics spot robot that he goes around with.
And
I
then
think the only thing that makes me sad about like having character-based things is when they do the first-person style. I'm like, could we get like a little third person so we can see those designs?
Oh,
And
like
see those
Doom style,
characters a
like
bit more?
down in the bottom left corner where his like eyes are moving all around.
Sure.
Got a bloody
Yeah, I
face.
don't know. Yeah, something.
The nice thing with this is at least it's multiplayer, so like you will get to see those character models quite a bit, ideally, you know?
But it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be, right? Which was good because we
Yeah,
got
the whole
confirmation that you
thing's-
can play single player if you want to. You don't have to play multiplayer, which was nice.
Yeah, I like that a lot, and I think that makes me feel confident that this game's for me, because multiplayer is really not always my bag. So I love the idea that, like, yeah, if we all get into this and we want to play together, we can. But, like, if I want to just play the story and experience it without people talking over it, like, that's an option too.
And the setting is so good. I always like those like little autumn town, small town things that have like some sort of fair carnival going. That just makes me feel good.
Yeah,
I
I'm you know, obviously I'm a big Arcane person, but getting to see more of this and understand more about kind of, I think, the nitty gritty of what it is rather than just like it as an abstract idea has me excited about it in a way that I don't really think I have been quite yet. So I'm happy. This is a great look at it for sure. And I think a great way to start off the conference, you know, like we'll talk, I guess, about the show overall as we go, but I think my favorite thing about this show was its like aggressive pacing and just like coming out right out of the gate with Redfall, and then, you know, like coming right off of that to have the look at like Silksong, which of course, you know, we've been waiting for a really long time to get an updated look at that.
Crazy that it was here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the funniest thing about it is just kind of like they have this trailer, right, of this game that everyone's been dying for, waiting for. They have it as the second thing in the showcase. They confirm immediately that it's coming to Game Pass. Day one, still not even a whiff of when day one is.
Yeah, nothing.
You know?
It's just
trolls. What a bunch of trolls they are over there.
I think we're going to see the date on this sooner rather than later. I could see us getting the date on the next Nintendo Direct, to be perfectly honest. But we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I think you're 100% on the money when it comes to the pacing of the show. It really was like rapid. And it wasn't until after the third announcement that we even saw a person on the stage. It felt like the stage was kind of defunct. It was used so infrequently that you kind of just could have just had those as like pre-recorded sections.
In the live part, when we did our live watch along, Steve, I remember you said it was after this trailer, after Silksong, before Sarah Bond came out, you're like, is there not a stage? Like, is no one gonna talk? Like, and I kind of thought
this was an in-person event for like the first time in years, and they made a whole big thing about how we're all in an auditorium, and everyone from the press was like posting on Twitter and stuff. And yeah, it wasn't until after, I think it was the next one, High on Life, that we saw Sarah on stage when she spoke about, and that's when it led into the next announcements. But
so,
you know,
let's talk about High on Life. So this is the latest from Squanch Games. If you're not familiar with them, it's Justin Roiland, who's the co-creator of Rick and Morty and like the voice actor for both of those characters, and he's a comedian and everything. They've been doing, you know, the studio's been around for a while now. They've done a couple VR titles and they've done a few smaller things. This looks like their first bigger project, and it seems like a more like kind of traditional, you know, story-driven, like, first-person shooter. I didn't get the impression that it was in VR at all.
Well, I can't imagine it would be because Xbox doesn't have a VR solution, and this is coming out in October.
Yeah. And it looks more like a traditional, just kind of like Ratchet and Clank meets, you know, an FPS kind of thing. And it seems interesting to me. Like it's got a cool art style. It reminds me a lot of like Oddworld. Very zany, you know, and like obviously Justin Roiland, prolific voice actor, so like he's voicing these like your sidekick character is like these guns that are apparently like a race of aliens where they're all guns and they talk to you and like chat shit with you while you're excuse me, going through fight to fight. And it looks like it's gonna have that, kind of wacky sense of humor that he's known for, and some really interesting alien creature designs and stuff. Yeah, definitely one to keep an eye out for. High on Life. What'd y'all think of it?
I liked it. Some of the characters reminded me of the movie Ants with a Z.
Yes.
Like
yeah.
That kind of look. But I thought that about Psychonauts 2 as well, and I loved that game. Like playing that game, I had such a good time with it. If it's even anywhere similar in gameplay to that, I would imagine this is gonna be a really good time, and it seems to be, but maybe a little bit more adult. I like the look of it. I'm not familiar with Rick and Morty or any of Justin's work. That's not something I've ever watched, and I don't think it would really resonate with me all that much from the snippets I have seen. But I love the visual style of this. I think it looks fun.
I keep thinking like Real Monsters with some of them.
Yeah.
So
and it's
I always like that show.
The nice thing is, right, with Game Pass, like it's super easy for you to give it a shot and see if it works for you, and like kick the tires.
Like the majority of the stuff in this presentation was like day one on Game Pass, or at least coming to Game Pass. I don't think everything
was. Yeah,
I didn't see it like not pop up on anything. So,
but speaking of Game Pass, one of the things that they also announced that was like a pretty big surprise is like another pretty key partnership for them, which is I think bringing a lot of value to Game Pass PC. Which is they've announced that Riot Games is going to be collaborating with Xbox and giving a bunch of perks to folks who have Game Pass in their in their whole slew of games. So that's all champions unlocked in League of Legends. League of Legends Wild Rift has all champs unlocked. Valorant has all agents unlocked. In Legends of Runeterra, which is their like card game like Hearthstone competitor, you get the Foundation set unlocked, and then Teamfight Tactics, you get select Little Legends unlocked. So lots of free content there if you're a Game Pass subscriber in all of Riot stuff, which is, obviously a big deal to a lot of folks. There's a lot of people that play Riot games pretty religiously. So, like, I'm personally very excited about the idea of, like, the all champions unlocked because I have PC Game Pass. I rarely take advantage of it. League of Legends is one of the few PC games that I really, really fuck with. And I haven't played it in a long time, so there's a lot of new champions that I've never tried out. So, that's great. I love that. Definitely a big benefit for me.
Yeah, it's really cool, and I think it kind of opens the door to potentially more deals with PC games moving forwards. Like I was always curious when we had the Activision deal announcement as to whether is there going to be anything for World of Warcraft players that comes to PC Game Pass at some point? And I think stuff like this, maybe you do still need to buy a subscription to World of Warcraft, but you get additional perks if you are a PC Game Pass subscriber. And also with Riot's parent company, Tencent, is there potentially a deal there for Xbox to make more headway in China and potentially partner up with Tencent in that way?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Just like seeing how they implement that to PC games that are more like service-based and that sort of thing. The perks are going to definitely help people get more of that value through some of those.
Definitely. So moving right along, we got a look at gameplay for A Plague Tale Requiem, which is supposed to be out later this year, and it's going to be one that's day one on Game Pass. I still never played the first one. I don't know how. I had a really weird thing happen with this game where for the longest time I had convinced myself it was a VR game. And I think it's because the first time I heard it get talked about, it was alongside Blood and Truth, which was a popular PSVR title. And I think I just, for some reason, forged an association between those two games. So I was
this is just the game with millions of rats. That's just, that's its claim to fame was it was a tech demo for rats initially, and then came out as additional one.
Seeing this, I like the look of it. It definitely seems like my kind of world. I could see myself getting into Like I like a dingy medieval fantasy piece now and then, you know.
Yeah. A Plague Tale: Innocence is on.
It's on Game Pass.
It's on Game Pass, so you should check it out. Did you see the title of the trailer for this one? A Plague Tale: Requiem. End of Innocence.
Yeah.
So like, obviously the main pro tag is no longer innocent like she was in the first.
She's
game.
like Ghost of Tsushima, like just
she's gone badass. She's done with the rats in this game. She's just like, fuck off. I'm gonna slice you all up. So
yeah, pretty nuts. Pretty nuts. See, I don't know. Like it's again like the whole like quiet period right now. It's like maybe I'll go play the original and see if I can get jazzed up for this one. I like a game where you like take care of a kid too, like that's always a fun thing. Not always, but sometimes. Oh my God. I'm sorry. So I'm watching the trailer and I just watched her just push a man into a pile of rats and he got devoured. It's like, yeah, it seems pretty cool. I gotta say. So yeah, I think this is one I'd like to try to get into. And then Steve, we had a look at some big old car games, which we know you love.
Oh yeah.
We got to look at Forza Motorsport, due out spring 2023. Apparently, Steve, you pointed out, right, that like there was no like subtitle or anything, no number. So it's
a complete reboot by the looks of it. So Forza Motorsport 7, I think, was the last one. It's just gone. No number, no subtitle. So yeah, seemingly it's a reboot, or what we potentially discussed on stream was, is it going to be like a live service game where they continue to add to this? And I think that would be really cool if they go down that route, because it's track based. It's not like Forza Horizon, which are the games many people will be more familiar with because they're the ones we've had in recent memory. It is like a Gran Turismo style game where you're on the track, you're working through a career, you've got a bunch of cars and you can pick from. But wow, does this look like a step up in terms of graphics? They finally dropped the last generation by the looks of it. It's Xbox Series X and Xbox Series S exclusive, and like on-track ray tracing for the first time in a console racing game. Gran Turismo 7 and Forza Horizon had it, but it was only in like photo modes or in the garage where your car is, where you can like preview your vehicles. And it looked stunning. I was so excited for this, like new weather dynamics, like wow, I can't wait. I'm really, really excited for it.
Yeah, Forza, I'm surprised I haven't played it yet. Honestly, it looks great.
Are you a car guy, Chuy?
No, not at all. But for some reason, Forza, I feel like gets it in a way where I'm just like, yeah, I can see myself getting into this.
Now, I think you're probably more familiar with Horizon, which is like the goofy open world, like just drive anywhere stuff. Those are the ones I think both of you should check out. And jumping ahead a little bit, we did get like a trailer for the leaked DLC, the Hot Wheels DLC, for Forza Horizon 5. And I think, Pete, you were finally like, oh yeah, I could probably get into this.
Yeah, it's funny because the last time I ever really thought about playing a car game was when they did the Lego expansion to Forza Horizon 4. And I remember being like, oh, like that seems cool. Like I like that. And then it was this, and it was like, oh my God, it's just like a regular like landscape, but then they just have giant car-sized
orange
Hot
roads,
Wheel
yeah.
tracks all over the place. And I was like, okay, all right, okay. Like this could be fun. Like maybe I finally do the Forza Horizon stream when this comes out,
We'll all play. We have to play a little bit before we can all do that together, right?
Oh, you want to practice? Okay.
No, you will have to play a little bit before you get to that. Like, there's probably about an hour that you need to play in the original, in like the main game before it unlocks everything.
I'm back out.
So, oh god.
I mean, we know what
like
happened
with
in
Splatoon. Yeah, it's like that all over again.
They have to just let me play. Like just let me play what I want to play. Okay.
And then you're so into Pokemon, and that's the worst one to get into to play against people.
But I learned how. So I'm in, like it's fine. I did that when I was a kid. But yeah, I will say this looks fun, and I could see myself jumping into that at some point. We also got an update, kind of keeping the first party vehicle based gameplay rolling. We're getting another big update for Microsoft Flight Simulator for the 40th anniversary, where they're bringing a bunch of new vehicles. Basically, they were showing off some like kind of like retro, like it's like the OG like biplane style, you know, like the first thing you've seen the Wright brothers take off with, and then a bunch of like other historical planes kind of moving up through the modern era. There's like this new Halo DLC where you're going to be able to fly.
That's out today. So the Halo stuff's out today. If you want to go play and like seemingly fly above the earth in like low atmosphere, which look cool. But like helicopters is the big addition to this. They've not been in the game before. You can finally fly a helicopter. Presumably the flight dynamics are going to be extremely different, and we'll see if they've added like a bunch more training modes in for that, because at least on console there is a very expansive set of training levels that you have to go through. It probably takes about 4 or 5 hours to complete all of them before you can go and fly on your own and be capable. But yeah, this is a very niche franchise, and I'm surprised it's lasted 40 years and has continued to be successful for Microsoft.
Steve, the sky is calling, though. You know?
Yeah, I love when is this like a trend now where people are doing like, here's a simulator on this totally like thing that doesn't exist really. But like with the Halo stuff, it was just making me think of that Apple TV show, The Prehistoric Planet, that's all done, where it's like those Planet Earth documentaries but with dinosaurs. I'm like, this is cool. I can get behind this. Like completely building out these Halo ships so you can fly them. It's amazing.
So then the next jump we got was, and this was kind of crazy because obviously, you know, I think now that it's been a couple months, the whole like Xbox buying Activision Blizzard thing, like, you know, it feels in the rear view because it happened, and then we've been waiting for it to clear and for like to see if what the ramifications.
Still not closed,
right? But we did have a couple big Blizzard announcements in this show that really gave the impression of like, oh man, like this is what it's gonna be like, you know, if everything goes to plan for them. You know, the Overwatches and Diablo 4s of the world are they're Xbox games now, you know. Which is kind of crazy. But we got a look at Overwatch 2 and the confirmation of it going free to play, which is, of course, I think a big deal and long overdue. We were joking about it a little bit, right, where Steve was kind of like, it's so weird that we're getting an Overwatch 2. It feels like almost needless. But then as we talked about it a little bit more, it's like, well, it does make sense though, right? Because they are switching to like 5v5. They're going free to play. I think it's a good opportunity for them to like try to get another shot at it, because the first 2 years of Overwatch were so strong, and it really feels like the game has kind of floundered in the last couple of years. And you know,
they've tried shifting to esports, but that esports league launched in 2020 and soon closed down because they couldn't do these in-person events. Like they partnered with a bunch of arenas to be able to do these esports things, but obviously because of the pandemic that couldn't go ahead. It feels like Overwatch 2 is kind of the beginning of a reboot, because they're, as far as I'm aware, the only esport where like current competitors are all playing on a beta. Like everyone's playing Overwatch 2 in the esport.
Yeah.
That's like if you go watch it on ESPN, you're watching Overwatch 2. So it's good to finally get a release date for it. It's coming in early access on October 4th, and presumably will be revised up until next year when we'll see the full release. And we know there's like a campaign coming at a later date, probably with the 1.0 as well.
How did were either of you Overwatch fans at all?
No, I never tried it.
I never tried it. I always liked the characters and the like trailers they put out for all of them, though.
I feel like it would really be your bag, Chuy. Like,
yeah, I feel like
you're
a
big Splatoon person.
I think you'd fuck with it a lot because it's very similar, and it's I think the reason I like Splatoon is like it's the same thing where it's like the whole I like that it's objective based rather than kill based. Like getting kills is advantageous for your team, but the whole point of it isn't just to get kill streaks, right? Like, and I like that because it not only I feel like it adds more depth to the gameplay in terms of making it feel less the same all the time, because like, if you have different objectives, like that makes matches feel fresh, but also like I could play a support role and focus on specifically like trying to move the objective forward, or I could play a really offensive role and focus on racking up kills and trying to dominate the other team so that my team can go and achieve our goals. And like, I like that. I love the strategy that adds to the game, and I think you'd really vibe with it.
Yeah, I think so too. That sounds definitely like the type of, I guess, shooter that I kind of prefer.
Y'all
overall.
down? Like when it comes out? Like you trying to get into it? We trying to play Overwatch 2?
I'll give it a go. I just know Overwatch 2 is so different to the Overwatch that you played. It has a kill death assist leaderboard. It is focused a lot on that stuff. Like that was added a year or so into Overwatch. No. It wasn't there at the beginning.
No, it was always there. It was, or maybe it wasn't there at launch, but that was like, it just didn't matter as much, right? Like you could achieve things on your team without being that, Like there's characters whose entire builds are not oriented around combat, Like
I know that. Like there's healers and things like that.
Yeah.
I know that basically every new character they've added in the last couple of years have all been like DPS characters, and that their focus is towards that because of the esports stuff, and that's fair enough. I don't know. I'll give it a try. It's free to play. Why not? But I just don't know if it's for me. I've never got into any shooter other than Splatoon.
This is one of the like 3 or 4 that I've ever gotten into. Competitive anyway. There's a couple of single player FPSs I like, but so we'll see. Maybe our pro Overwatch 2 team is going to get off the ground pretty soon here. So then moving into the next one, we got a game that it's called Aura History Unfold. It is a strategy game, like, a very like historical, like fiction kind of, it's, your civilizations, your Age of Empires, like that kind of thing. And it's the team behind Ashes of the Singularity. It's Xbox published. It's coming out day one on Game Pass for PC. This is cool. I like this kind of game a lot in general. So that's already something that like appeals to me. But I think it's also neat to see Microsoft like more seriously kind of like dipping their toe back into like PC publishing. Because like they are putting out a new Age of Empires. They're putting this out. Like, they had Flight Sim, obviously. Which was PC first. I like that they're kind of like getting back to that part of their lineage that they kind of like, it feels like they forgot for a long time.
Yeah, they very much did forget about it, and it was very, very, very sad day when Ensemble shut down, and I know a few of those people went over to Oxide, which I think is where, like I said in the trailer, like the original creators of this like genre or whatever. Even though Oxide's put out one game in 2016, so this is their second title, and it's cool to see them on the same stage as the likes of Overwatch and Starfield.
I want to see these genres of games come back in a meaningful way. Like I feel like this, like the Civ style game, the RTS, the Sims, like. And when I say The Sims, I don't mean the series The Sims. I mean like City Sims and that sort. Not The Sims is in that genre, but I mean the broader genre. Those games had such a heyday, and it feels like they've never quite. There's been attempts at bringing some of them back, but like they've not quite hit right, and like they've been marred with whatever. Like I remember like they made SimCity a couple years ago, but it was like always online and it was super buggy, and
yeah, but like since then, like people like Frontier have kind of taken over that genre. I feel like City Skylines, for example, has been incredible.
True.
Planet Zoo, there's like a bunch in that genre. We've got 2 Point Campus coming out next month, which again is that kind of management sim style game. I love them. I love that style game. I love RTSs. So I'm very pleased to see that the genres aren't being forgotten.
Yeah, and I think part of that difficulty is like translating it to a console and a controller and everything. And maybe now with all their PC stuff, they're like, yeah, let's build up that a little bit more. So I think
Some
I
of
think
them
it's a
I
good time
don't
to do it.
think. Some of them aren't coming to PC. From what I can tell,
console,
Aura
you
is
mean.
just announced. Yeah, Aura is just
Console, yeah,
announced for PC so
Yeah,
far.
yeah, that's what it says, and it's coming out on Game Pass PC. That's it though.
But no Xbox port announced yet. I would imagine if this is popular, they will get an Xbox port. But
Maybe
considering
eventually.
Age of Empires hasn't had an Xbox port since PS2, I would be amazed if we saw it. I really would love Age of Empires to come back. They did such a good job with Halo Wars and translating that to a controller
that was made for
that I feel like
console,
they
yeah.
could do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll see. So then we got some updates on some games that we don't play, so we won't really talk about them. But Elder Scrolls Online's getting an expansion called High Isle, and they were bragging about how that's an area of the universe of Elder Scrolls that's never been explored before, which is really cool. And then Fallout 76 has a new expansion called The Pit, where you're going to be going to Pittsburgh. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I mean, I guess. Pittsburgh, yikes. And then we got another look at Arc 2. Vin Diesel's riding a T-Rex.
It's so jarring.
Oh my god, yeah.
That sure is a game. Dumb. Yeah, that sure is a game. And then we got to look at a game that we described as fleshy, wet, as HR Giger FPS. What else do we call it? It's fucking gross.
Disgusting.
It's called
Scorn,
and it's nasty. It's really nasty.
And another October title. I just don't think I can play this one. I'll play one of the other million games coming out that month.
Yeah, but this was the first one that we saw with the Kepler logo on it. I was not familiar with Kepler. We learned about them during this showcase. They are a new publisher that is like basically a collective of developers that are like publishing games together. And they showed off this and another game that we'll get to in a second. That I was really interested in. This is not for me, but it looks great. Like, the visual fidelity is definitely there, and it looks really sharp. So did their other game. This is great. I love this. I love the idea of, like, a proper, like, you know, AAA level publisher that's just, like, a collective of developers. Yeah. Power to the people, man.
They've put a bunch of games out, like they're publishing Chuy and developing it. Like one of the studios in the collective is developing it. Sifu, Red Lantern.
Sifu's them too?
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of games that they're publishing, and it's really cool. I love it. It's such a cool concept, right? It gives them more financial stability, I would imagine, being able to publish together.
Yeah,
just the power of working together as a collective.
Yeah,
man.
This one really got me at the little fox familiar thing.
The next game.
Oh yeah, the next one.
Yeah,
right.
Well, good. Let's jump into it because I also love this one. It's called Flintlock: The Siege of Dawn. And like Chuy said, you play this woman who has like an axe and then like kind of like a blunderbuss, like a very old school like pistol, and then she's got this cute little like fox familiar, and he's got little antelope ears, and he's got like magic powers, and it has like a Souls-like kind of like combat that you're seeing here now. I think was one of my standouts from I thought this looked really sharp and really cool, really interesting world. You know, combat I could definitely see myself getting into. You're like flying around with this fox and stuff. Like, yeah, it's checking a lot of boxes for me. I feel like this game looks sick. And if this is the like, you know, I don't know, right? It's coming from this this collective now that I wasn't aware of from before, but now that we know these are the caliber of games that they've been responsible for so far, like, that's pretty cool. That's pretty exciting. Yeah, so just in general, a really exciting like pool of talent to be paying attention to, which was not on my radar before now, but certainly is. And this game, I think, looks like very much up my alley. I'm definitely picking this one up.
Yeah, for sure. It's man, I'm just watching it. I'm like, yep, this looks fun. This looks like a good one.
It's another reason that you need an Xbox, Chuy.
I mean, yeah.
Don't worry, we'll figure it out. But yeah, Flintlock, Siege of Dawn, great one. Really, really, really excited to get my grubby little mitts on that one. Early 2023. So then we got to look at Minecraft Legends, which is a new action strategy game from Mojang. It's supposed to be coming out next year. Day one on Game Pass, as you would imagine. It looks like Minecraft Diablo, basically.
No, Minecraft Diablo is Minecraft Dungeons.
Right, true.
This is a different style game. I don't know what, though. Maybe Minecraft XCOM. I don't feel like we got a very good look at the gameplay on this one. Maybe it's like Minecraft RTS. I genuinely don't know what the gameplay is like on this one. This was one of the ones that I don't know. I came away from it and I was like, I don't really know what's going on that one. The rest of the trailers were very gameplay heavy and focused, and this one was seemingly on the other end of that spectrum.
I'll tell you what, your kids, your younger cousins, whatever, like they're gonna like that one. So.
Oh yeah, they'll play it regardless, and this has already been confirmed to come to every platform. It's not just exclusive to Xbox, as with everything in the Minecraft universe.
So the next one I remember got a bit of a pop from us. It's called Lightyear Frontier. It's a farming, survival, crafting type game. But like the hook is that you play in this like little mech that you can use to like. It has a bunch of tools you can use for harvesting, but like you can also use it for farming and probably some light combat. And it's like a co-op experience where like you can like build like a homestead and set up crops and, you know, develop resources and then, you know, it teased there being this kind of like, you know, more sinister story that you can discover and find out the secret of what's really going on and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, you know, obviously a really well-worn genre, but definitely a unique angle on it, right? And like it looks like a pretty cool innovation on that that genre of game, the survival crafter.
And it looks just so dang pretty too.
It's
like
gorgeous.
Jeez. Yeah, everything about it is just like, yep, I love these types of games. I love how it looks, and that house got me. The little like farm house.
The cute little cottage that you can build.
Yeah,
that's a cool one. I think this one looks pretty good. Like this kind of game can be hit or miss for me, but I like that it seems less oriented on combat and more oriented on like exploration and building and stuff. So yeah, just definitely one to keep an eye out for. Then we got to look at Gunfire Reborn. It's called a roguelite action game. It kind of looks like an arena shooter, I thought more, but it's coming out in October. It's coming to Game Pass. It's got like that cell shady, like almost Borderlands-y kind of like art style, but all of the characters are like these cute little animals.
And the Puss in Boots.
What's
the word? Universe.
Yeah, for sure. And it's got 4-player co-op. You know, so it looks like it is very much just kind of like the four of you going through, kind of grinding, doing the Left 4 Dead thing, like trying to get further and build out your characters and everything. It looks fun. It's got a good style. Not necessarily my kind of game, but it's also the kind of game I could easily see like tossing on with a couple friends when you like want something like fun multiplayer to play. And again, right, with Game Pass, like it's super easy to just be like, well, yeah, why don't we give this a couple rounds and see if it sticks, you know? It's like a game I think definitely, you know, like the style of it and everything is appealing. It looks like it's got pretty tight gameplay, so I could definitely see, I could see it being one that catches you by surprise, you know?
Yeah, they're always. It's one I'll try because it's on Game Pass, but I don't think I would have picked it up if it wasn't. It's not usually the kind of game I go for, but when it comes to Game Pass in October, you might as well check it out.
Yeah.
I honestly
And for me,
think
this
it coming
like,
out in October is the biggest thing against it.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think also for me, this is another one of those examples where I'm like, man, you made these great characters and it's first person again. Like, just do a third person thing. Let me see the character.
All right. Yeah, so we'll see on that one. But yeah, it's gonna have to fight for air in October, that's for sure. And then we got the last case of Benedict Fox, which is it's like a Lovecraftian like adventure game. We kind of weren't sure if it was like a Metroidvania or what. But it's got like some light platforming, some exploration. You're dealing with horrors and demons and going into your father's memories, and yeah, I don't know, it seems interesting. I'm not totally sold on it, but the folks in chat were really, really popping for this one for sure. And Steve,
I
you
think
like
it looks
too.
great. Yeah, I think this looks great. Having read the description on the YouTube video since, it does seem like it's more of that Limbo style game. I think cheekily they worded it as descend into a limbo of decaying memories. I feel like that's probably intentional, and I think it looks great. I love this type of game. Not the only type of game we got. Like there's one from the creative director of Limbo, which we'll see later in the show. But I think this one looks great. I'm looking forward to playing it when it comes out next year. Yeah, I'm excited for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 2023. Speaking of which, yeah, I guess it's worth pointing out, we didn't say this at the jump. All these games due out in the next 12 months, I believe they said, which is just frankly insane. Really, really, really cool lineup coming.
Yeah, they showed like a calendar at the end, right? With just like a wall of artwork of all of the games coming out in 2022 and 2023, and 2022 is not looking as empty as it did anymore following this presentation.
That's definitely true. So then we got to look at a couple other indie games. We got another look at As Dusk Falls, which is one that we definitely had seen in the past. It's that narrative adventure game that has the limited animation comic style to it. And it's very oriented on story and seemingly making decisions and that sort of thing. You have the choose your own adventure bag. That's right up my alley. I'm not sure how I feel about the style yet. It feels kind of weird, but I also think
I don't like it. I don't like it.
I think I could see myself getting into it though if the story's there. But
yeah, I think I could. It just honestly, maybe it's not the Nancy Drew games. Maybe it's another type of detective game I played as a kid. But it reminded me of that when they do cutscenes of showing how they did it, and it would just be these just basically a slideshow of it's 3 frames per second kind of thing, and it was that juxtaposed next to full motion. You'd have very limited motion on the characters, but then the car is going full throttle across the desert, or there's a train that's going full motion. I found it very peculiar, but the story seems somewhat intriguing, and I'll check it out. It's again coming to Game Pass on day one, so why not?
They got me too, because they're showing a thing now, right, where it's they show all the different branches of the decisions you can make and all that stuff, and I'm such a sucker for that.
Yeah, I think it's very much like a Life is Strange style game, right? And it's out next month, so
and it's
unless you're playing something else.
Cool.
It really is multiplayer. That's quite cool.
Yeah. It says it supports up to 8 players.
Oh, I remember now. Yeah, this might be the one to try on stream then, I think, if we can all give it a go. And it's cloud based as well, so even if you don't have an Xbox and you've got Game Pass, I would imagine the combat is or the moment to moment gameplay is not that intense that you probably could stream this one relatively easily.
Picking
Yeah,
options,
picking choices
Yeah.
like an Until Dawn style game.
Yeah, I think so. And then we got to look at Naraka Blade Point, console launch exclusive. It's a battle royale that's like it's like very like a bunch of like, ninja style kind of combat, like lots of like fast, like high flying kind of stuff. Apparently this game was like a big slap on PC. It's coming to console on the 23rd, so just a couple days away at this point. And yeah, I know that Wakahula in chat when we were doing the watch along said that apparently it was a really, really big game when it came to Steam. They were saying
seemingly still is massive. Like the last 24 or the last 30 days, it's had like a peak of 126,000 players. So like people are still big into this game.
Yeah, and it says in the trailer that they've got like join the over 10 million players. So it seems like it's got a pretty healthy community. I could see this one being a big hit on console. Just this kind of game, definitely appeals to the console player, I think. So, yeah, looks cool. Tight action.
Yeah, I like the look of this one. I don't know. All these things are always like, whenever it's stylized to something ancient Asian, I'm just like, yeah, that's awesome.
And you know what? I gotta say, it's nice to see a battle royale that's not a shooter, that's not Fortnite, that isn't following that same framework, like 60-player PvP with like ninja gameplay. It's really nice and refreshing change, and I can see why it's taken off.
They've got a campaign mode that's coming to Game Pass as well, which is cool. So I think even if like that's not your jam, like the multiplayer thing, like you could probably check this out if you're just interested in the idea of like a, Asian influenced action brawler, So check that one out. Then we got a look at Pentiment, which is a new game that we hadn't seen before. An Xbox world premiere. This is a new narrative adventure from Obsidian, which is really cool. It's got it definitely looks like it's a smaller team, like kind of like a more indie initiative from them. And the whole thing has like a storybook vibe to it. It looks like it's set in like medieval Europe. Very interesting, and it's the, I forget his name, but it's a writer, from the guy who did like New Vegas and Pillars of Eternity and all that good stuff. So real pedigree behind the story on this one, and it is definitely a story driven game. So I think it's cool that Obsidian still does like weird projects like this.
Oh man, all of their games are seemingly so unique. Like this, Pillars of Eternity,
Avowed,
Grounded, and The Outer Worlds. They're all so different and so unique. It's not just like, oh, we're the company that does all of the first person action adventure games.
Well, and it's like they worked on
different.
They did the South Park game, which was basically just like a Final Fantasy like turn-based RPG. Like I feel like they can really do anything, like they just make good shit.
Really good team.
November 2022, right? So I mean, that's another one, right? Where it's like, man, this year was looking soft. It's like, hey, you know what? Shit, we got some stuff to look forward to here.
Well, then that, and then they also had the announcement of the 1.0 of Grounded coming in September, which seemingly adds I've not played that in a long time, and it looks like it's come a long way since I first played the early access version, like full story and everything in there now, which seems really cool.
There's a whole story you can play through like end to end, which will be dropping then, which is really cool. I've never gotten around to playing this one because I just downloaded it and I was like, I don't want to play it while it's in early access. Like I'd rather wait and just play it as intended. So like I'm excited to try and get a crew together and like do a run through of this. Let's stream it. Let's get through it.
I will be there. I've been wanting to play this since I first saw it.
You just need a fourth.
It had me immediately at that like Captain Planet looking cartoon that they opened with, and then I was like, oh yeah, it's the Honey I Shrunk the Kids game. I'm in.
I gotta play with arachnophobia mode on though, because
I love spiders.
But yeah, I'm really eager to fool around with this one for sure. Finally. So then we got a look at Erebon Shadow Legacy, which is a like a stealth platformer type game where it's like you're playing like this, you know, she has like shadow powers and you're like jumping from shadow to shadow and like taking out these like Emmy looking mechs. Yeah, like with like a blade and like these like secret shadow powers and stuff. Looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I liked the look of it. I don't know that I'm massively into it. I kind of liked when I saw the trailer and like you said, oh no, you're not playing them. I thought you were playing the Emmy. I loved the concept of like turning the kind of turning the tables and like, oh, I'm playing the enemy and I'm like hunting them out and stuff. But it still looks like a cool game. I like the visual style. I thought it looked really good.
Yeah, I like the shadow platforming. Seems cool. Like that as a concept is neat.
Well, we saw that other game in Day of the Devs, right, where you like jump from shadow to shadow. I love that as a concept. It's so strange that we spoke about it on yesterday's episode, how devs have the same idea at the same time, and you only see them come to fruition seemingly at the same time. Like we've seen all of these games with bears in. There's multiple games where you're jumping from shadow to shadow. All of the sci-fi horror games. It's really strange.
Yeah, it's very odd. Just how that happens, but
yeah, this phenomenon all over the place.
Yeah,
all sorts of things.
Yeah, it really is interesting. But you know, I gotta say, with some stuff, I don't mind it. Right? If it's a good idea, hey, I'll take a couple of them. So something I never thought I would walk away excited for. We got to look at Diablo 4, and I gotta say, I think this game looks really sick.
I think
it looks phenomenal.
Yeah,
I'm so excited. Like we got the final unveiled, the final character class, the Necromancer. Finally know that that's going to be there at launch. Super excited that this is coming out in early access this year, but we got the confirmation that it's out proper next year. And then the gameplay on Series X. Oh my god, does it look good! I was so excited to see some actual like gameplay of this game. I feel like it's been announced for so long, and to be able to see some of the new stuff, right? It's an open world game. It's never been done before. There's PvP in there. We've not had that in a Diablo game either. You can go any way you want. It's not linear. There's these like events that happen just out in the wild, and you can like go with your party of players. They're just like little side quests that pop up randomly. And you can pick and choose how you want to play the story. There's no fixed route through like there always has been on a Diablo game, like one story that you're following. You're an adventurer. You're going out, you're exploring, you're finding stuff, some cool shit that's happening out in the wild, and you're going and doing those quests and reaping the rewards with your party. And if you want to, if you choose to play PvP, you can go and you can fuck up someone else's party as well and steal all the cool loot that they've got. I can't wait to play this. I'm so excited to hopefully play this with you two and get into a Diablo game with friends again.
Me too.
Here's my thing. I think we've identified multiple multiplayer games that we all say, at least one of us is very passionate about and the others are like, I'm in. I think we should just commit to just playing them together and like letting the person who is like stoked on it like guide the rest enough to get comfortable, you know? I think we got a couple multiplayer games that we can play together because I think this looks great. And like I historically have not really fucked with Diablo. I played D3 and I did the couch co-op thing on console and like it was great for that. But I ended up finding that like the thing that's fun about this is sitting and playing with my friends, not so much the game. But I like this. Like this looks fun. This looks like my jam. And like the not having it be this like hub world quest based run here and kill a bunch of guys and come back. Like I love the idea of like being able to explore a shared world and like go rumble with like other groups and stuff. Like the idea of us like, oh cool, we've got our team of 4 and we've all got our kitted out characters and you know like let's go and like pick a fight or like you know oh we're trying to go complete this quest and someone came and attacked us. Like all that sounds really appealing, you know? And it just looks good. It looks less stiff. It looks less like the way that old shitty Blizzard games look. You know, like no offense.
Oh, D3 was such a huge step up, though. Like, if you've not played it since like 2002, Diablo 2, like Diablo 3 did take it to the next level. Had that really rocky launch with the auction house, but being able to play that with a controller, and that being the like definitive way to play that game, like being able to flick the stick and roll around the place, and then bringing that dynamic and porting it back to Diablo 2 Resurrected. I think moving forward to Diablo 4, the controller is going to be the way to go again. And like they very much stated that with Diablo 2, that yes, you can play with a mouse and keyboard if you want to, but you should play these games with a controller.
You should play it on Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait. We got to do this. We got to play it on Xbox. It's going to be great. Except for these spider guys. I don't like them.
I like them.
But I'm playing this. I'm playing this at launch with you, Steve. I'm committing.
Yeah, well, if you don't like the spiders, don't play a magic class thing. Maybe don't play a necromancer, because you can have a lot of spiders that you're summoning.
You summon the spiders as a necromancer? Yeah. I'll be the druid then.
I mean, that's not so bad when they're on your team, right?
Yeah, when they're attacking someone else, is that okay?
That's not as bad. I could deal with that, probably. Okay. But I think I'm going to be a druid anyway. I want to turn into a bear. Okay, I'm glad we decided on that. Now we just got to know who Chuy's going to play.
I'm in.
We got an update for Sea of Thieves. It's called the I think it's called the Captains of Adventure.
Captains of Adventure. It's season 7 that's finally been announced, where you can like captain your own boat and name it and do it up and do whatever you want with it.
And it'll be a permanent ship that respawns and everything, and awesome. I can't believe it took them this long.
Taken this long. Yeah, right? It's like so long. I genuinely thought that was the concept when I first played the game. It was just like, oh, it's my boat. I'm the captain of it. I can do what I want with it. But no, it's just a random boat that generates each time, and you just go away on it.
It's so weird. Mm-hmm. But whatever. You know, like, great update, great game. We all talked about getting back into it. A couple people in chat were like, yeah, we should. Let's do it. So I think there's more Sea of Thieves in our future, if I had to guess.
Mm-hmm.
So then we got another world premiere. This is the game's called Ravenlock. They're the devs of Echo Generation, Coco Cucumber. This one was interesting. It's like an action, like a third-person action adventure kind of thing.
Yeah, like 80% voxels, but then some like 4 3D models as well. It was a really strange.
And it's got like an Alice in Wonderland kind of energy to it, where it's like she gets pulled through. Wonderland. Yeah, she gets like pulled through a mirror, and she's in this mirror world, and there's like weird voxel kingdom, and then there's like, I don't know, it's weird, but it seems really interesting, and it's like you got your sword and shield, and it reminds me of almost like Medieval. If you guys remember those games from the PlayStation 1.
Love those games. Yeah, of course I remember them. They were some of my favorites.
In the chat while we were watching this, Timberwolf, she made a joke where she was like, yeah, give me more of these like PS2 ass like action games, and like I'm very much behind that, and this is, I think, that energy for sure. This looks cool. I'm in on this for sure. Ravenlock.
Yeah, I liked the look of this one a lot, and the voxel looked very well mixed in with some of the other stuff. It gave me like a real vibe that they're going for, like, you're getting transported. It's a different place. It's kind of strange, but yeah, it went together well.
Definitely seems like your vibe.
Mm-hmm.
So then we got to look at Cocoon. This is a Annapurna published game. It's from I think it's Jeppy Carlson. Who's the lead gameplay designer on Inside and Limbo, and this is their next title. It's interesting. I think I'm more interested in this game based on the pedigree versus like what we actually saw.
Me too. Like, I don't know if I like the setting or like the visual style as much as I like Limbo or Inside, but I can't argue with that pedigree. You know, those are some incredible games, and the gameplay on them is awesome. Although there might be some cool environmental puzzles in this, which obviously were phenomenal in both of the other games that they'd worked on. So I'll have to wait and see. Out early 2023, day one on Game Pass, so I'll no doubt be trying it.
Yeah, and that's like a good thing. Again, it's like this is an easy one to be like, oh, I'll try this day one, because even if it's not for me, like I'll know, right? And like I like their past work enough to want to give it a shake, so.
The problem is if this gets mixed in with some of the other big titles coming out in that period, right? A lot of games have been delayed to early 2023. I felt like that happened with Tunic for me. I've still not played it. It's on Game Pass, and I got sucked into playing games on my Steam Deck and playing some other titles that came out around the same time instead. But we'll have to see.
Yeah, just haven't made the time for it yet either myself. So hopefully this doesn't fall into that as well.
Mm-hmm. This one gave me like 3D Grease vibes. If you both played Grease.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, the environments really felt like this, but
I'll tell you what,
flat.
My favorite thing about that game is how every single person I've ever met pronounces it a little differently.
Yeah.
Is it Gree? Yeah. Is it Grease? Is it Gris?
I think it's Grease because it's a team from Barcelona, right? So I lean toward it being more Spanish pronunciation.
That's probably correct. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the title of that game should have been those letters and then the phonetic spelling in parentheses.
Just so people know.
Just so we're aware. Like, just give me the heads up on that one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So then the last thing we saw before kind of like some of the real earth shakers was
you know what though, Pete? This is an earth shaker when you realize who's behind it.
Fair enough.
The producer of Bloodborne is behind this game.
Whoa, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's like a huge fucking deal that this is coming to Game Pass day one. It's a Soulsy game, and so I didn't realize that either. And if they can mix this and it's like anything like Sekiro, it'll be really good.
And it's published by Koei Tecmo. Team Ninja's working on it. Obviously, we've got the Bloodborne connection there. So real chance for this one to be a banger then for sure. Wo Long Fallen Dynasty. One to watch for sure based on all that information. It was a very cinematic trailer. So I don't feel like we got a super good idea of what the combat is necessarily like, as much as like we got a taste for the world and then kind of the vibe of it all. But yeah, I mean, clearly one that I think has a real opportunity to make waves with that knowledge. Kind of weird that they didn't pimp that in the trailer, right? Like
it's in the Xbox blog post as well. Like it's apparently a joint creation by Team Ninja producers Fumihiko Yasuda and Masaki Yamagiwa, which is Neo and Bloodborne. So like two big games, two big producers coming together to work on this title, and day one on Game Pass. I presume it's coming to other platforms as well, but this is a huge coup for Xbox, I think.
Yeah, I mean, early 2023, really cool. And like you said, this is the kind of game you would usually think like, oh, that's like a PlayStation exclusive, right? And it's like,
yeah,
nope, not so much. And then our next announcement is right in line with that, right? We got the announcement that the Persona series is coming to Xbox Game Pass and Xbox in general. We've got Persona 3 Portable. We've got Persona 4 Golden, and we've got Persona 5 Royal. The definitive versions of these games. Crazy that they got P3 and P4 before PlayStation. Those are not on PlayStation 5. And Persona 5 leaves the PlayStation Plus collection, and Xbox Game Pass has Royal. They got the real good version. Insane that these games came to Xbox before Sony or Nintendo's consoles. Wild.
And in October again, and also on PC. So I know where I'm playing it. It's going to be on Steam Deck if it's supported.
Yeah.
Like that is a portable game in my eyes. That's what I always wanted it to be, and to be able to finally play that on a handheld officially is incredible. I'm really excited to finally be able to play Persona 5 Royal. I know there's some like huge monumental like quality of life improvements in that game versus the original, and oh my god, what a surprise for Atlas to finally be bringing those games away from PlayStation. We thought that there was like an infinite exclusivity agreement in place, and we were never going to see them come from Sony's consoles. But this just opens the door for it to be on other platforms now, and I really hope Persona comes to Switch as well, because I don't think there's any reason that console shouldn't be able to play it.
You'll see. We'll see. I guess hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
The interesting thing is we know Royal has a release date. It's coming on the 21st of October. But aside from that, no release dates on the other two from the looks of it.
I think we'll probably see those at the Persona anniversary event.
And then they're going to announce Persona 6, baby! Let's go!
Oh, yeah.
What a time! What a time!
Day one on Xbox.
I mean, it's going to happen when they buy Sega, right? I mean...
Or if it's Xbox exclusive, that would be, like, massive.
Dude, they just sold more consoles in Japan. I can't believe it.
Yeah, and, like, like you want it... For our sake, we better hope that doesn't happen, because it'll be the last thing we ever hear Zayd say. It'll just be in perpetuity. He'll die mad about that one. So... Last but certainly not least, right? We got a 15-minute.
Oh no, you missed one.
Wait,
you
what?
Missed Kojima.
Oh right, I forgot.
Yeah,
of course. Who could forget? Before we got our one more thing, we got the announcement that Xbox is working with Kojima Productions on their next title, following after Death Stranding. Kojima had absolutely nothing to tell us about this game at all.
He had some stuff, right? So it's like a completely new experience. It's using the cloud tech and this, that, and the other. And we did have that leak.
What does that mean exactly?
Who knows? But like there was that leak earlier this week, I think it was, where it's like, is it called Overcome or something? Where it was like this new horror game that he's working on. It's called Overdose. And there's like a trailer that's been floating around with Overdose that had like the Xbox logo on. So there was like and people were like saying, "Oh, that's fake. It's never going to happen." And he was here today. Again, another massive win for Microsoft, because obviously Kojima's last game, Death Stranding, was exclusive to PlayStation and still is.
And also, I think it shows a profound amount of just like, it's a bold play to be able to start off with Redfall and then go right into Silksong and then end on an announcement of a partnership with Kojima, who is like one of the few game developers who can get a pop in a conference without even having anything to say. And just the news that they're working on something is a big deal, right? And again, right, like having all of these partnerships with Japanese developers and important Japanese game makers who historically have been on the PlayStation side of the fence, and like here they all are at the Xbox Showcase. Like that is a big W for Xbox, and I think it's got a lot of people, a lot of people in our chat who are not Xbox folks who are like, "Fuck, I gotta get an Xbox," Some even saying, "Oh, why do I have a PlayStation if all this is on Xbox?"
I literally left this thing and was like, I don't think I need a PlayStation for a while. I think I can just wait like 5 years when their next 3 exclusives come out and just play Xbox the whole time.
And there's something to be said about that, right? If you're not interested in God of War 2, you've played The Last of Us already. That's the next big game coming out. What is there over on Sony's side of the fence that they've got exclusively in the next couple of years? They've not really announced anything that's coming out other than God of War, I don't think.
Yeah, and I mean, like, there will be things that we don't know about yet, but like, it's a lot of question marks right now. They didn't
show it this year.
Yeah, right, exactly, and that's what everybody cares about. Right, walking away from this week is like, what do you got to show me? And like, I think PlayStation's conference was great, but it wasn't this.
Yeah, they delivered the goods. Like we got, there's something for everyone, right? We've got Starfield, Redfall, we've got Forza, Flight Sim update. If you're into one of their big MMOs, there's like huge updates coming to those. And then, like you said, we end on like big announcements from Atlas and KOJIMA moving into the Starfield gameplay. We finally got a glimpse of what that looks like as well.
And not at all an insignificant look at it, right? Because I thought we'd see some Starfield today, but we got a 15-minute look at Starfield today, and we got pretty deep looks at everything from the size and scope of the game, which is massive. There are multiple clusters of planets for you to explore. He said there's over 1,000 planets, and we got a look at the broader map of one of the inhabited worlds, and it's a big fucking map, and there's double digits size planets like that for you to look at. There's really improved gunplay, I would say. It looks like a proper FPS. We've got the look at some of the No Man's Sky-esque elements where you're scanning things and collecting resources and learning about the flora and the fauna. There's all these factions that they showed off that you can get involved with. They showed off some of the what the dialogue kind of looks like a little bit, not fully, but a little bit. Just a lot here, and we've talked a lot about this game and what I think it needs to do to succeed. Because it needs to I think it needs to meet and exceed expectations a little bit. If Bethesda wants to reestablish themselves as the fucking kings of the open world.
Yeah, they want to keep that crown for sure.
And they don't have it anymore. They lost it.
You think so? I feel like Skyrim is still seen as a pinnacle. It is 10 years old, but they haven't released another game in that universe. Or I guess Fallout, maybe Fallout 4.
And that's the thing. Fallout 4 came
out,
and Fallout 4 was fine, but I think most people were generally it's a newer version of Fallout 3. Okay. So, what else?
Whereas this looks like such a step up. And even all the additional tidbits, right? You can fly the spaceships, which we didn't realize there's dogfighting in it. And then we saw a look at the amazing customization options, not only for the spaceships, but
you can customize the entire look of your ship and everything, which is really cool.
Build your own bases and outposts on planets and occupy them and inhabit them.
And you can meet characters NPCs and hire them to work for you and come and move into your base or be on your ship. And
the character creator, compared to any character creator they've had in any of their other games, is
it's more like Disco
above and beyond.
It's like Disco Elysium, where it's you pick your background and it's you could be a chef, you could have been a gunner or whatever, and those impact your base stats. But then you also have personality modifiers that are you're a coward, you're childish, you're brave, you're whatever, and those things all influence your character dialogue options and how you develop and how people react to you and all that good meaty role-playing goodness, This feels like the game it needed to be, but that and you asked the question, I think they have lost that, right? Because it's Bethesda used to be the one, but it's you've got The Witcher 3, which has obviously come out and is newer and is an example of maybe arguably a somewhat deeper kind of world like that. You have what Rockstar is doing, you have a lot of other Western studios that are delivering on big, lived in open world experiences.
I don't think anything has the level of depth that a Bethesda game has ever achieved. I don't think anyone's come close to it, in my opinion. The fact that you can interact with basically everything in those worlds, you can read all of the books, you can pick up all of the items. There is a level of detail in those games that I don't think any studio really recreates and even attempts to. And maybe that's to their detriment. I don't think sometimes these games are too big in scope and maybe they don't need that level of detail in them. Like, do we need 1,000 planets? Who knows? We'll find out. But I love the idea. You know, Todd said it's the stories that you create. And I think that's really what's going to happen here is we're all going to go away. We're all going to pick a different planet to go and explore. And we're all going to come away with like footage to share and like cool things that we found. And I'll be like, oh my God, have you been to this planet? Like I saw these amazing animals and like monsters and like really cool plants. And like I found this base and like it was inhabited by pirates. And like I had this incredible experience. And that's on top of all of the story, all of the factions, everything that we know from Bethesda. Like, yes, at first glance, there's a lot of influence from the likes of No Man's Sky, but there is the story. There's the storytelling. There's the quest design. There's all of the additional things that Bethesda games add into the mix, on top of a really really cool space exploration game. And I'm over the moon. I can't wait. They've said 2023. There's no fixed release date on it. Obviously, it's slipped from this November. They can take as long as they want, as far as I'm concerned. This game looks great, and I know it's going to be amazing when it comes out.
Yeah, and I would rather them take their time and nail it. You know, like if they need more time, they need more time.
Because I mean, we all know what happened in No Man's Sky when it first came out. It just wasn't there. Yeah, it looks like it's there now, but
like I
don't
think
want that.
Even to a lesser extent, like I hope they learned their lesson from Halo, which like they delayed that, but it seems like that could have even been delayed a little longer because the single player was really ready, but the multiplayer wasn't quite there. Like, not that it was bad, but like there maybe wasn't enough content to keep people engaged on the long haul, right? And now that's a thing they have to fix. And I'm sure that they want this to just come out and be like, this is one of the best video games ever made, right? This is unequivocally game of the year, right? This is, you know, a game that is going to be a game that 10 years from now we're like, Starfield is the best open world game, right? Like
it's like Starfield's being released again for the millionth time.
Yeah, right.
I was gonna say
that's what they want. It is.
It's gonna get the Skyrim treatment for the next decade for sure.
Yeah, and it seems like it has that juice, and I didn't know that it would, you know, and like that was the thing we've been saying. That's what they have to do. That's what they have to come out with and be able to prove that they've got the sauce. And I feel like it looks like they did it, you know, and like that is exciting. That is profoundly exciting to think that this is a game that might be as revolutionary to open worlds as Fallout 3 was, or as Oblivion was, right? Or Skyrim was, you know, like that's what we want. That's what we need. And I also think that's a thing that's going to really make the whole like, damn, like the next generation's here, huh? This is a game that you could not have put out on PlayStation.
I feel like this is finally that's my takeaway from this presentation, is it feels like the next generation is finally showing up. We've had 2 years of cross-gen on the Xbox side. There's been no like next-gen exclusive games. Starfield's one of them. Forza Motorsport. Like, there's just so much stuff now that's been announced that is only coming to next-gen consoles and isn't going to be compatible with Xbox One. And I think that's only that's only a good thing. Like, yes, it leaves so many players behind, but look at what you can achieve with the technology. Like we couldn't have got something as beautiful as Forza Motorsport 7 on last gen hardware, with like live ray tracing as you're driving around in these like ridiculously high detailed vehicles. No way. And Starfield, I don't think could have been achieved on last gen hardware either.
So real quick, I'm showing the part right now where they were showing like the ship customization, and I did think it was very adorable how Todd was like, "This is really cool. I'm very proud of it." Like, I don't remember exactly what he said, but he was specifically like, "This part's really fucking."
We love this, and we're really proud of it, and I love that, like to like take ownership and be like, "Yeah, this is actually really fucking cool." Like, I'm really proud of like the team and what we did with this, because it is fucking cool to be able to like have all these modules that you can like tack onto your spaceship and like customize it in any way that you want, and it looks like a really intuitive interface as well.
Yeah, I think in general, like for how deep this game is, it looks like it's also pretty simple, which is like what you want.
Hard to pull off.
Yeah, really tough to pull off. Like the dogfighting looks genuinely fun. Like, I'm surprised that all these systems looked as baked as they looked. you know? And it's good. I mean, they've been working on this game for forever, so I'm glad that it's been time well spent, you know? But, yeah, there was nothing here that didn't meet or exceed expectations so far, which is right where I want to be. I can't wait for this game. Really, truly. All right, so, of course, that is the cream of the crop. That is the biggest announcement they could possibly have versus 15 minutes of Starfield gameplay. So again, you know, overall, really phenomenal presentation. One I thought was an absolute slam dunk from Xbox. We know we have that second showcase coming from them where they're going to get an even deeper dive on some of these games. Very much looking forward to that. Before we go, I did want to just come through some quick hits. Xbox dropped a bunch of news earlier this week on the 9th. Honestly, like a showcase worth of announcements here kind of in its own right. And some really good stuff just to get on your radar. So Xbox is going to be collaborating with Samsung, and they're going to be putting an app so that people can directly access games on their smart TVs with no Xbox required, coming on June 30th. So that's right around the corner. Of course, accessibility is huge there. A lot of the folks in our chat, right, who saying they want an Xbox, hey, do you have a Samsung? Because you can play a bunch of these games now. So get your controller and get ready. So definitely a big piece of news there. We knew it was in the works, but crazy to see it finally happening. We have a little bit more information on something that was kind of rumored, where it's called Project Moorcroft, which is Game Pass is going to be getting access to new game demos. So obviously, you know, them kind of reacting, I think, a little bit to what PlayStation had to offer there, which, again, competition breeds excellence. We love to see that. And we have a whole expanded line of colors and options for Xbox Design Lab. Ton of new cool options over there that you can check out. And then
an amazing Pride version as well.
Yeah.
Which is great to see. Tons of flags included on there, like 20 flags included on that controller, and it's a permanent edition. It's not just for Pride Month, which I really like.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was literally just watching a TikTok earlier from a trans woman who was commenting on it and saying that this is if you're gonna do the rainbow capitalism thing, you does a pretty good job. You know, this is a pretty good example. So shout out to that as well. Cloud gaming is getting betas in Argentina and New Zealand, so great to see that coming to more folks all around the globe. We got some optimizations coming to cloud gaming for Windows 11, so that's going to be cool. You know, better connections there. They said that they have at least 5 new exclusives being launched from its studios in the fiscal year 2022, which is exciting. And then there was also some commentary on the Activision Blizzard acquisition, confirming that existing multi-platform franchises won't necessarily become exclusives, but they said as many titles as possible from them will come to Game Pass as soon as they join the Xbox family. So, you know, we're going to want to see that. Yeah, just a lot of news from Xbox, and of course we know that we're going to be getting a little bit more from them before they're done. So I think it's safe to say Xbox has taken the year this Summer Games Fest. I don't really think anybody can compete right now, and it's exciting to think what that means from the competition. I hope that means that Sony and Nintendo are ready to come with their own heavy hitters and see that they need to stay in the race and stay competitive, because I think if Xbox keeps playing their cards right, they've got a real strong situation on their hands, and it's going to be hard to ignore them pretty soon for most gamers, I think.
I just don't see anybody beating Game Pass at $15 a month. That's unbelievable.
It's truly, truly an incredible value, and it only gets better, you know? So
yeah, I look over the list of titles announced today, and I'm just like, if you left that showcase with nothing you wanted to play,
you don't like video games.
What kind of game do you play? Seriously.
Wipe yourself off, because you're dead. Anyway, yeah, incredible showcase. I think safe to say an A+. Thank you, Xbox, for that one, because it feels like it saved the week for me, right? This was the hype level that we were hoping for, and Xbox came correct. So I was excited to see that at the very, very least. So if you want to let us know what your favorite announcements were, make sure you hit us in the comments down below. Write into the show at questions@flipscreen.games. Join the Discord. Follow us on social media. However you choose to write in. If it's a cool comment, if you got a good question, we'll read it on the air. So come be a part of the show. Come join the conversation. We're always keeping it rolling on the Discord after the episode drops. So if you want to come chat with us about any of the stuff we discussed today, that is, of course, the best way to get in touch and keep the conversation rolling. Come. However you choose to come and be a part of the community, we are glad to have you here. Thanks for spending the time with us, and thank you for tuning in for all of our coverage of Summer Games Fest. We'll be back whenever there's more stuff to report on, so expect some indie talk, some Capcom talk. We still got stuff. The Summer Games Fest is still rolling, but I gotta say, I think we're hard-pressed to see something better than what we just saw today. I think we've hit the top of the mountain, so I'm ready to snowboard down the rest of it, So thanks again for tuning in. Thanks for keeping it tuned. I've been Pete. He's been Steve. He's been Chuy. We've been the Flip Screen Games Podcast. We'll see you next week.